What's up guys, it's Powerbang and welcome to the next Brawl Stars guide video. This one's gonna be on Dynamike. He's our cheerful dynamite chucking buddy that's a common brawler and he does range splash damage to a particular area. Now he's pretty minimal on the hit points department because he's supposed to stay back from battle. He's only got 600 HP and he's got a primary attack called Short Fuse. Mike gleefully lobs 2 lit sticks of dynamite hiding behind a wall, will not keep you safe. Super ability is the Big Barrel of Boom. A big bada barrel of dynamite blows up just about everything. Enemies get knocked back on impact. There's a knockback effect as well as some tremendous damage from Dynamike's super. Now, he's got some strengths and weaknesses, quite a few of them at that. Let's go over them now. For his strengths, Dynamike can do loads of damage to an area. Key distinction, area. Because Dynamike is so strong at dealing damage to an area, he can easily lock down and control areas of the map. Dynamike is a very strong character when posturing defensively, but he can have his troubles when he tries to go offensively. Now, the number one advantage that Dynamike has over most other brawlers is that he doesn't need line of sight to deal his damage. He simply needs to be in range. Now, that means that while enemies are hiding in the grass or behind walls or in the spawn, like, Dynamike just needs to be in range. If they're behind a wall, doesn't matter. If they're behind a box, doesn't matter. His Dynamite can go over those obstacles and do damage nonetheless. Dynamike's super, it's very strong. It deals a lot of direct damage to a significant area around its detonation spot. The Big Barrel of Boom can also destroy walls and cover. This is a distinction that not many of the brawlers have, so being able to open up new passageways or offer your teammates line of sight to hiding opponents is very valuable. Not everybody can chuck their weapons over the wall just like Dynamike can. Dynamike is a master at making key staging areas in objective-based play inaccessible due to damage. So if there's a choke point or a particular bush that everybody hides in when they're getting ready to rush the gem mine, all you have to do is bring a Dynamike with you and he can flush those guys out in no time. Now, as far as weaknesses go, Dynamike has a few. He does not deal damage to targets, first off, so it's quite difficult to land damage as sometimes your opponent can fake you out and move in another direction. So because of this, his primary attack is usually dodgeable because it's quite slow, way slower than bullets or other primary attacks of other characters. It does do a large radius worth of damage though, instead of a straight line attack similar to Colt or Ricochet. Dynamike has low HP and is also very weak to melee characters because he has to move to run away, but also must drop his dynamite to try to stop the aggressor. It almost rarely happens. The aggressor typically wins. There is a buffer area with Dynamike that he makes difficult to cross because of his ability to move and drop bombs right in your path, but once you get across that little buffer zone, he is almost certainly dead meat. For tactics and tips for Dynamike, you want to lob all 3 of your initial attacks at the beginning of a battle into the popular staging area towards the middle of a team map. You'll likely kill the weaker HP brawlers and damage everyone else significantly enough to force a retreat. Use your super to uncover hiding foes by destroying the walls or the cover that they are in. Make sure you attempt to lead your opponent with your primary attack into cover so that they run into your dynamite, rather than throwing your dynamite at them and watching them run out of range by the time that slow attack finally reaches them. Dynamike is an objective player and an assist guy, so make sure you're always on the lookout for when an enemy has to duck for cover due to the pressure that your teammate is putting on them. Make sure you've got a nice stick of dynamite waiting there for when they arrive. Use your abilities as a buffer to buy time for your retreating teammates when their end of round timers are active. When you're trying to go back to your spawn at the last few seconds of a gem grab, make sure that you're using Dynamite to keep those opponents lit up as they chase you. If you're able to sneak up within range of a choke point or an oblivious enemy brawler, get a nice spread on your dynamite. Think like the Olympic ring, where they're kind of overlapping in the middle and the damage would be extreme at that particular location, but also spread them out a little bit so they're not all directly on top of each other. That way the person doesn't move and gets absolutely no damage on them in exchange for an entirely empty attack bar for yourself. When you spread out your damage, kind of similar to that Olympic rings analogy, you're going to make sure that you get some damage in on the enemy before they get out of dodge. Also, be on the lookout for opportunities during the heist game mode to sneak in and deal a lot of damage to the safe. You will not need line of sight to the safe in order to deal damage, so just chuck those bombs over the wall and get out of there. The best game modes for Mike are those that are objective based. We're looking at heist and smash and grab. Anything where there's an area to attack or an area to defend, he excels at because he knows where he has to place his dynamite in order to be effective. The worst game modes for Dynamike are 1v1 type of situations such as showdown or bounty. In those, when he has to go 1 versus 1 up against another opponent, it's way too easy to dodge Dynamike or to charge close to him and take him out. Favorable matchups for Dynamike include Ricochet, Colt, Bull, Shelly, and Brock. Basically any weak character that is ranged that Dynamike can, preemptively strike a couple areas and take them out. A well-placed super ability can also nearly one-shot a lot of those characters. The only exceptions on this list are Bull and Shelly, the shotgun characters. Again, Dynamike outranges them, and he can kind of predict where they're going to go because in order to deal damage, they have to get within shotgun range so they can deal that primary attack. Difficult matchups for Dynamike are Bo, Barley, and Spike. Bo is basically very, very strong, and he can also control areas himself with his trap ability. In addition to his trap, his hunt ability with the 3 explosive arrows makes it very difficult for Dynamike to expose himself to do damage to Bo without getting popped himself. Barley is another area splash damage character, and he is far superior to Dynamike in almost every situation. His main attack does a significant amount of initial damage and also ticks and does damage over time. This makes him able to control areas better than Mike because it's not an initial blast that you're trying to watch out for. There's an additional second or so that they have to avoid that area or they're going to take a significant amount of damage. Barley has a far superior ultimate ability as well, covering a much bigger area, and if brawlers find themselves in it, they're typically dead. In addition to those, we have Spike. Spike is very, very good, and he also has a very effective ultimate that he can spread where Dynamike is standing and make it difficult for him to get away, whereas Spike can close the gap very quickly, or one of his teammates can, and can hurt Dynamike to the point where he is taken out of the fight. Hard counters for Dynamike include El Primo and Mortis. Both of the melee characters, if they do get into close range with Dynamike, Dynamike is dead. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Overall recommendation for Dynamike is that he does a pretty fair amount of direct damage to areas on the battlefield. This can be very useful as a support player, especially in an objective-based game mode like Heist or Smash and Grab. He can deal loads of damage to grouped up opponents, and he can control an area very well provided that he has distractions like his teammates in the area. But the second Dynamike is alone, it gets very lonely for him. Like a bleeding fish in shark-infested waters, he will quickly be pressured and overcome by force. Dynamike has very similar abilities to Barley, who in most cases is the superior area splash character. Make sure you guys check out Barley's upcoming guide as well. That's all we have for today's Brawl Stars guide on Dynamike, guys. So if you enjoyed it, definitely hit the like button, and make sure if you're new here, you subscribe. On your way out, check the description of this video where we have our Brawl Stars wiki posted, where you can get tips and tricks, all kinds of stats, guides, etc. on every hero, every character that's available in this new game from Supercell. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. My name's Powerbang, and I will see you guys in the next one.